a fascinating process because most people don't want to work in their mindset. They just want to go and, in your case, I don't know, invest, buy a house, whatever. And it's when something goes wrong that they come back and say, whoa, how did that happen? Because I had it all planned out, but somehow you got in your own way. And so when that happens, they kind of get at a loss.
Welcome to the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, this is Agostino. Mindset is all about setting the mind. It is your collection of thoughts and beliefs that shape your thought habits. And your thought habits affect how you think, what you feel, and what you do. If you don't believe that you can achieve your goals, you will sabotage every single opportunity you have for succeeding. And it'll put yourself in the place of being a victim as well. So today's guest has a very deep understanding of this concept. She has helped many shift their mindset into one that attracts the solutions, situations, and resources to help people seek and achieve their goals. As an internationally recognized strategist, coach, and speaker, she helps her clients clarify their message, and as the founder of Masters in Clarity. It is through this company that she implements a virtual business growth system while helping entrepreneurs position themselves as thought leaders in their field and scale with their business. With all that, I'd like to welcome Dolores Hirschmann to the show. Hey, Dolores, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Agostino, for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you like what Dolores has to say, you can reach her through her website, mastersinclarity.com. And if you like our content, please don't forget to leave a comment and rate the show. It helps us out tremendously. Finally, if you text the word freedom to 202-410-4202, you get our free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. Okay, Dolores, go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit more about how you got started and a little bit more about your background as well.
Absolutely. So first things first, my accent is the first thing I tackle. I am originally from Argentina. I've been here in the US for over 20 years. But it's funny, I've been speaking all over the world. And sometimes when I speak in English, the first question I'll get in the Q&A is like, where are you from? And I get that no, they haven't heard anything I said. So I'm from Argentina. I speak Spanish. But I believe that we manifest the life we dream. That's something that I've had with me since very young, before I actually went to proper kind of education on this topic and understood the process of the human behavior and the human mind as a coach. And I have a background in business. But from a very young age, I kind of intuitively understood that my thoughts somehow, for better or worse, manifested in my reality. The negative thoughts somehow became true. Like if I, expected someone to behave in one way or another and harm me, like somehow, maybe not in an identical way, but it happened. And so it's true. The same, if that is true, then it's also true for your dreams, your positive thinking, your what I call the expanded version of you, and the expanded possibilities.
That's right. I mean, and the thing is, though, is that I devote a big part of our program when we're coaching people on how to buy multifamily real estate or how to buy real estate in general. It's all about establishing that first goal up front. And I'm just mean arbitrary. Oh yeah, my goal is to have X number of millions of dollars of real estate. It's more than that. It's visualizing it and it's sort of setting it in your mind and really, I guess, revisiting it on a regular basis. Is that the kind of things that you do as well? Like maybe you can even talk a little bit more about how you set your program up or how you set up your mindset for success.
Absolutely. So in Masters in Clarity, what we have built, and this is where I think I love the combination that of how we work with our clients, is that I have combined my background in business and communications and marketing for over 30 years with my newfound expertise in the last 15 years as a behavioral coach, as a personal development coach, life coach, executive coach, you can call it whatever you want, but it's basically someone that understands the behavior and doesn't come to correct the behavior, but really tries to unveil and find clarity on what are the thoughts that are making people do what they're doing. Because you and I know that if we observe ourselves, we will find patterns of either self-destruction or self-sabotage, or patterns that keep us moving forward and support us. And so in my work, I work with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, and I dance between the doing, the strategy, the tactical implementation of whatever they need to work on, with the being, that what are they believing, and therefore it's manifesting in them not taking the appropriate action. And it's a fascinating process, because most people don't want to work in their mindset. They just want to go, and in your case, I don't know, invest, buy a house, whatever. And it's when something goes wrong that they come back and say, whoa, how did that happen? Because I had it all planned out, but somehow you got in your own way. And so when that happens, they kind of get at a loss. So in the work that I do, I am consistently looking and witnessing my clients, and I'm raising flags when I see them. So let's say that someone commits to a project, and when we come in and check in, and they tell me how it's going, and they ask for my advice, I ask specific questions to see if the process was done as planned. And when it isn't, and it isn't in a negative way, I know that it's not failure to execute properly. There's just a sneaking saboteur that's coming in, and it's unconscious. Because when we are not aware of our mindset, the doing that hurts us creeps in, and we don't even know it. We will pick a fight with someone when we were fine before, or like there's little things that pop up that you're like, where did that come from? And as a coach, I'm consistently looking for the pre-storm, and I'm kind of shedding light on my clients, say, watch this. And then I start asking questions. What is happening here? What do you think is stopping you? What are you feeling? I'll tell you a quick story, because I work with my clients, but I also work with myself all the time. A few years ago, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a photo shoot, and this is like 3 years into this business. And I had this thing of like, I know there's a knowing that I can have a bigger company, a multi-million-dollar company, but I couldn't see it. Like, it just wasn't, I couldn't believe it for me. And so I had this photo shoot, which I do yearly for my, marketing and stuff. And I asked the photographer, I said, I want you to help me capture, excuse me, my $1 million, like, shoot, like the one photo that when I see it, I can see myself that successful. Because until I see that persona of myself, then I can start walking towards it.
That's right. Now, it sounds like it's very similar to, let's say, setting up like a vision board, except obviously you actually set up a whole photo shoot around it. But I guess a vision board might do the same sort of thing, right? Where we're putting down on a board what you want to see manifest in your life, and even take it a step further by writing out your affirmations and visualizing it in your mind, right? Is that some of the things that you do as well?
Absolutely. We work a lot with vision board. It's athletes talk about this all the time. You have to play the game in your head first, and not just see yourself in that mansion one day, but what are you wearing? What are you feeling? What are you eating? How are you spending your time? Who are you surrounded by? How is that relationship going? Like, it's down to the details, like almost watching that movie in your head. And when you are able to do that and consistently practice this, you'll surprise yourself, honestly. And I'm sure this has happened to you, that all of a sudden, you are like, I don't know, I'm looking at that flower. I've had all of my vision boards have a lot of flowers in them, because that's just something that makes me feel alive. It's not expensive. You can have flowers without having a lot of money. It's just a choice, and an intentional choice. And so now flowers happen around me all the time. Again, it's intentional, but it's been seen in my head for so many years. I don't even have to think about putting flowers. They just happen, or people give them to me. Like, I have a neighbor who just drops flowers all the time. It's like you start attracting And these things start presenting in your life if you first manifest them in your internal movie, in your mind movie.
Yes, 100%. I mean, it's building those neural pathways before you actually have it in reality, but you're already convincing your mind that it's already there, right? But I'll tell my friends and my business partners is that I already have my 10,000 units. I just have to go out there and make it official. I just got to sign the piece of papers to make it happen. That kind of thing. That's one thing that I say. It's half jokingly, of course, but in my vision board and my affirmations, I'm writing out all my affirmations every single day. But the thing is that there's still many people that don't believe it. They think this is all like foo-foo nonsense stuff, right?
They'll believe it when they see it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, have you ever had people like this say they approach you for help, but they don't believe this part? They don't believe that it can happen? Like, what sort of things do you do to demonstrate and prove that this type of visualization actually works? Like, what do you do to convince them?
So there's a couple of things, and this is kind of how I shifted my company. I used to lead only with coaching. And I realized that people want the solution, like show me the blueprint or the map and I will do it. And so I shifted and leading with strategy and communications. And so people come to me and they want they share with me their tangible goals. It's great. You want to be on a TEDx stage. Let's talk about that. And so as I work with them and show them the way that, call it the tactical way, the things you have to do, I start feeding in, and a lot of it is through storytelling of my own experience, through storytelling of other clients, or just as they start transitioning that tactical journey, I start looking and asking questions about anywhere, either where I can see they're getting stuck or that they can see that they're not quite there. And a lot of it is their own internal personal identity. I always say, who do you need to be to go where you need to go? And that is actually something that we talk about early on, and some of them are kind of not sure how to answer that. It's like, oh, I just have to be, I don't know, confident or assertive. Yeah, and that's fine, but what fears do you need to master? And which means if you're going to master some fears, you first have to acknowledge them and tap into them so that you can shift in understanding where are you keeping yourself caged in either a victim mentality or a fear mentality or whatever that might be. You got to shed the light, because that kind of pockets of fear or victimhood that we all have in our heads are like the bully in the classroom, because they work in the darkness. You never are acknowledging them or aware of them. But all of a sudden, you do a faux pas or you mess up a deal or whatever, and it came from nowhere. But it actually came from that saboteur who's sleeping in the back of your mind and comes and messes something up. And I always explain this. The self-sabotage, or what I call the saboteur, is actually a good part of your mind. It's you know how, you've probably seen snow, and a snowflake. What a snowflake is a minuscule particle of dust that, as it journeys through the atmosphere in the winter and when there's high humidity, it crystallizes and starts kind of concentrating humidity, and as it comes down to the earth, it comes down in the form of a snowflake when it's that kind of weather. You add one snowflake to another snowflake, you have a snowball. You add a snowball to another snowball, you can have an avalanche, right? You follow me? So the saboteur holds a tiny, tiny particle of truth, probably from your past, from your childhood, from a past trauma, whatever that might be. And so when, let's say that I work a lot with speakers and with business owners who are speaking as a growth strategy, and they have this fear of getting on that stage. And it is coming from that saboteur that's trying to protect them, because what if they go on that stage and they get judged or heard in any way? And so the saboteur is saying, no, you can't do it. You shouldn't do it. Who are you to get on that stage? You've never been a speaker or whatever it is that saboteur start talking to them. And there's a little bit of truth that saboteur is actually trying to protect them. But it's a particle of dust that's become an avalanche. And when that happens, it's stopping you in your tracks and you're like frozen and you kind of fall into a hole. And many times you fall into a hole of I can't. And you start making excuses for everything that you can't. And the truth is the only resource and the recourse you have is to simply acknowledge that saboteur and say, thank you. Like a bully. When you shed a light on a bully, the bully shrinks. So by just shedding a light on this saboteur behavior, if you want, and say, I see that you're trying to stop me. I know that you believe that I can't. And I know that you're trying to protect me. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm a big girl now, or I'm a big guy now. Like, I got this. I'm not a 2-year-old. Nobody's going to judge me. There's no harm. I got this. And that's as simple as this, to kind of shrink that negative self-talk and give room to the I can conversations.
It's really sounds to me like fear is what it sounds like. Fear is it's fear is trying to overtake you. And I think what many people don't understand, I spent years trying to figure this out, is that our brains, we every day we're living with the whisper of 10,000 generations in our heads, and our brains are trying to protect us from getting attacked from dangerous animals out in the savannah somewhere. So we always have to be running and hiding and hunting animals to go and feed on it, or whatever we have to do to survive. Basically, all these survival instincts that still exist in our minds and our brains today. And we don't have to worry about getting attacked by a saber-toothed tiger anymore. However, those whispers are still there, and that fear is still there as well. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it could be something very, very small, but our minds take and expand it and turn it into this big monster that will keep us from manifesting what we want to see happen. Right. And I think, but a lot of fear has a lot to do with uncertainty as well. Right. Because if we don't know for sure what's going to happen, this fear will overtake whatever it is that you want to do, and then just crush it. And then next thing you know, you're not doing anything. You're sitting in front of the TV watching Game of Thrones or something.
Exactly. So let me do a quick exercise, and for you, Agostino, but if you're listening to this episode, just close your eyes for a minute and just think of something, a moment in your life where you were in actual fear. It could be a car accident. It could be, I know it's not fun what I'm making you do, but it could be a moment where you were really afraid. Something was happening. Just close your eyes. We can hear thunder in the background. Perfect timing, thunder. Thank you. How do you feel right now? Like physically?
Well, you feel generally constrained, right? You feel smaller, right? You feel like your muscles tighten up, right?
So what that is basically that so whether it's a negative thought or a memory of a fearful moment, is going to change the chemistry in your brain, because that feeling of contraction is a fight or flight feeling, is the cortisone that is now pumping through your body. Which cortisone is a chemical, and it literally shifts the chemistry in your whole body for that moment that you're entertaining that kind of thoughts in your head. And so it shifts the chemistry in your body. Your muscles kind of become constricted and tight and like ready to fight or flight. That is actually the onset of stress. A consistency of this kind of thinking and this kind of chemistry will lead you to chronic stress. And how you behave when this kind of chemistry is in your body is very different than how you can potentially behave when you have endorphins, which are happy hormones. So if I were to do the same exercise with you guys right now, but think of a happy moment, your body will feel relaxed, your chest will open, your muscles will kind of soften, and you'll have an expanded kind of feeling. And so imagine going into a negotiation for buying a property with one kind of hormones and chemistry in your body versus the other one. How will that negotiation go if you go in an attack or basically survival mode? So you're going to look to attack because you're going to perceive anybody in the room as a monster to you.
That's right.
Different degrees.
That's right.
Like you're going to be watching the world from a lens of, I'm a victim of the world. And so you're going to walk into a deal saying, okay, where am I? Let me look at the paperwork because somewhere here they're trying to mess with me. And the energy and the vibe will be off. And even if it was a great deal and there were no real reasons for anybody to kind of mess with you or kind of, have a bad deal, it's just your energy, your energetic field is going to change the energy of that room. And even if the other person came from an expanded kind of mindset and an endorphin filled body, if you want, your energy is going to interfere with the energy in the room. And only the stronger will win. Who knows? Who can hold it stronger? And so walking into a closing from an expanded feeling in your body because you're entertaining the thoughts of possibility, the thoughts of I can, the thoughts of I am strong and I am powerful and I'm not, the world is not against me, then the energy that you bring into the room is just going to be different.
But you know what though, Dolores, I think the biggest problem for many people is that what you're talking about happens over time. This isn't going to be something you just do in one session and or one discussion and then you're switched on, right? I mean, in my case, I know that that's true because I spent many, many years in corporate America doing all that. And when I left corporate America, it took some time for me to really fix and focus and work on myself to really begin to believe and then do the work to manifest and to actually apply myself to building the right mindset. But I mean, I didn't take any shortcuts. That's the thing, right? I didn't really have it. Sorry?
There are no shortcuts.
Yeah.
They're really, so this is why I love the world of business ownership and entrepreneurship. Because as a coach, I can tell you that if you want to grow yourself, go start a business. Because yes, you might have the benefits of having that business and the Ferrari and the big house. But this is why I have so much respect for entrepreneurs, what I call sustainable entrepreneurs, solid entrepreneurs, not like, I get all this debt, buy these houses, and then I collapse. That's not what I'm talking about. But entrepreneurs that can build something that is sustainable over time, what it tells me is that they've done the inner work to sustain that growth. And nothing is going to kick you behind more than owning your own business or being a parent or both.
Right. At the same time.
Have 4 kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I think, and that's the thing though, too. Yeah, you're right. There is no shortcut. But there are certainly ways to, I guess, get the right mentors, to get the right assistance from the right people to help you build a mindset. I mean, and what I did was I went to virtual mentors. That's how I did it. I turned to guys like Tom Bilyeu or other mindset people, all online on YouTube, listen to the material. And I still just do it to this very day. Is I open up my mornings with listening to motivational talk. And that's when your mind is most open, is when you first wake up in the morning. And on the way to the gym, I accept all these things that are coming in, and I accept it as truth, and it kicks off my whole day. right? Even when I don't feel like listening to anything, I still do it regardless. So, I mean, that's just what I do. That's become my habit. Works for me, may not work for anyone else, but I think everyone may have their own way, right? Or is there? Do you find that there are very similar ways of doing this across a broad spectrum, or do people respond differently to different types of exercises to help them build their own mindset?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it, and one thing that is very important for me to say out loud is two things. One, you and I said there are no shortcuts, and let me clarify that. Once you understand that there's a road you need to take, there are no shortcuts. The problem is that 99% of the population doesn't even know that there's a road they need to take. So
Yeah.
once you find that there's a road that you need to go on, go and just, go in peace. There are no shortcuts, but each moment of it is going to be a better, more alive moment of your life. What I fear for is those people that haven't even began the journey. And that's really who we're talking about. Those people that are still not understanding that they do have a choice, that there is a different way of living, and that when they understand, when they stop living on their mindset default, and they understand that they have a choice on how they can set their mind, then it's a whole other world. As far as practices, here's what I want to caution. Once you are in this journey, I would say to anybody listening, there is no wrong way of doing it. If you are intentionally trying to make space to connect with your own body and how you're feeling, and to be kind of supervising, for lack of a better word, your thoughts and your mind, then whatever works for you, it's perfect. Because I worry when sometimes mindset coaches would say, well, this is the way you do it. You have to meditate at 10 a.m. for 2 minutes with this meditation, breathing like this, and blah, 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 which I never get it right anyway. And then so you start judging yourself for how you are meditating. And then you go into a spiral of self-judgment of not doing the mindset thing right. And then you might as well not try any of it. I remember once I listened to someone who said, look, it's simple. All you need to do is create a space for your mind and body and heart to connect. Whatever serves you. For some is running. For some others is sitting quiet. For some others is listening to music really loud and dancing, like whatever that is. And there's moments in our lives where there's moments when if I'm in a high creative time of my life where there's a lot of things going on in my business, it's really hard for me to quiet down without moving. And so the only way for me to quiet my mind and be able to reset and find that internal space is for me to go on long walks with no music or no stimulation in my brain, and literally try to just breathe, move my body, and get into that pattern. You know how it's called like a kind of a hypnosis mode when you're doing a repetitive exercise, whether it's driving or walking. They say ironing or washing the dishes. I haven't tried that, but that kind of pattern, you kind of set your body in a pattern of repetitive pattern, and you release your brain. And for me, when I'm in those creative moments of high activity, that is easier to do than try to sit quietly for 15 minutes. It's hard. So if you are looking to be aware and conscious of your mind, however you do it, keep on doing it.
Well, I think part of it too, at least what I do anyway, is you of course you enable that bouncer of the brain, so to speak. You keep out all the bad stuff, and you watch your own thoughts. That's a big part of it. But you also don't expose yourself to negative stuff anyway too. So I know that media, especially these days, both TV, radio, social media, all of it, they understand the human mind, and they also understand that we as humans are always trying to find things that can harm us or our families. So they put up a lot of negative stuff, right? And so all this negative stuff will say, "Oh my God, you better watch out because so and so will do X, Y, Z, and then you're going to get taxed, and then you're all going to die, or whatever."
And we get into that high cortisone chemistry
Exactly.
and fear mode, and you entertain all those thoughts. Your boundaries and your protection it's harder to keep a clean or clear mindset if you're not kind of managing the influence from food to substances to media to TV to reading to friends to toxic relationships.
There's so much, right? There is a lot out there. I mean, we cut out TV at our home completely. We even cut out music to some degree. We barely listen to music at all now too. So we even stopped consumption of music, except for once in a while, as like a treat, so to speak. I mean, because we also understand that when you listen to music, it is releasing chemicals to your brain because you enjoy it, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy anything, but there's reasoning behind why music is set up the way it is. As an example, same thing. You're absolutely right with foods, but especially I think media though is probably one of the biggest drains, next to the people you hang around with. Of course, if you hang around with the wrong people, that can really drag you down. And I think it's probably that's probably the hardest part for many people that enter any type of coaching program at all to find any type of success, is that they're not surrounded by the right circumstances, the right environment that gets them the best success that they can find, right? So meaning they come home, they have their old habits of turning on the TV, putting on the radio, having maybe a spouse or the person they live with is not so cool. But best way I could put it. I'm not saying that everyone needs to get a divorce or anything else like that, but sometimes your boyfriend or girlfriend is probably not the right one for you. It could very well be, right? It's again, I'm not condoning go ahead and be single, but it's people, it's those types of things that will impact your ability to succeed.
And that is why, and you're spot on, Agostino, because as we evolve and we grow, I mean, I believe that we are souls in this world and we have a journey, and that hopefully by the time we leave this earth, our soul has expanded, has come cleaner, clearer, lighter, less judgmental, more positive, right? And so if you think about it, there's kind of a journey of releasing what is holding that person down. And you will upset people around you when you really intentionally go on that journey of being the best version that you have potential to be. There's a lot of people who are threatened by that. There's partners that will be threatened by that. There's children that will be threatened by that. There's parents. Your own parents will be threatened by that, let alone your friends and your coworkers. And so it's just an interesting process of acknowledging and not judging anybody that is trying to push you down, but simply releasing and understanding that they're not in that journey now or yet, or may or may not. Who knows? We all have our frequencies. And there's the seasons of our process. And just kindly and elegantly release that doesn't serve you, or those that are not the right walking partner, like the journey partner right now. And that's why we evolve through jobs or through projects or through team members, because there's moments where we are vibrationally aligned and we should journey together. And then when conflict happens, what's happening is that our vibrations are off, and you need to realign, redesign, or release.
Yeah. And I think that's like I said, that's probably the toughest part, but I think it sounds like the best way around it is to get that help, to get that coach, to fix that mindset, at least put you on a path, like you said earlier, to at least understand what the path looks like and start following that path, and maybe even getting some help around how to build and fortify the right mindset to build success. Because that's one thing, in the hundreds of interviews I've done anyway, is that the most successful people that I've had on this show anyway have been people with strong mindsets, and they set very clear goals, and they attack those goals. And I know it sounds like a bunch of foo-foo stuff for the audience that's listening, but I'm telling you, this stuff works. It 100% works. 100% works.
The athletes do it, and the military does it.
Yep.
And there's nothing more hardcore than those two practices. They may not talk it in the same way we do, but when a military when troops are being trained, they do scenario mapping, and they literally do mock-ups of what is possible in this sector. I mean, it's a strategy. And so all we are saying is, map your game in your mind. You can use a vision board, you can use a piece of paper, you can use a journal, there's many tools you could use, but ultimately you need to pre-manifest what you want in your mind. See it, own it, feel it. And so when you achieve your goals, not that you achieved your goal, you simply match the reality with what was already there, as you said earlier.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Now, Dolores, if you can give your 21-year-old self a word of advice, what would you tell her?
Lean back, look for the signs, and watch your mind.
Excellent. Excellent. Love it. Okay, great. Well, if you want to reach out to Dolores, you can reach her through our website at mastersinclarity.com. I hope we got a good sense as to how your mindset will impact your overall growth, and really paying attention to your mindset is going to be the best way to get to your goals. Don't forget to head over to her website to check out her programs. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast.